Hi, today I'm sharing information about a podcast I stumbled across on Skydawn Games' Facebook page. This was shared in September of 2024. It's called Morrus's Unofficial Tabletop RPG Talk, episode 313. In this particular episode, Rich Lescouflair is a guest talker, Rich Lescouflair being the designer of both Esper Genesis and Phantasy Star Tabletop RPG. And the interview where Rich begins to discuss Phantasy Star is at the 1 hour, 9 minute, and 46 second mark. Rich discusses how he grew up on the Phantasy Star classic games, the original 4 for Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis. He mentions that Phantasy Star was an inspiration for the Esper Genesis game, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise. He confirms the Phantasy Star TTRPG book will be hardback and completely standalone. You won't need a D&D core book or an Esper Genesis core book in order to play it. The starter adventure, presumably the Search for Lavino, will be digital only at this time. He briefly discusses how he got access to the Phantasy Star licenses by going through Sega of America and then Sega of Japan, having to do a sales pitch with Sega of Japan to explain what D&D is, his experience with Esper Genesis, its roots as a game that was inspired by Phantasy Star, and why Phantasy Star is a perfect fit for a pen and paper RPG. At the time of recording, he was hopeful for a late summer 2025 release of the physical Phantasy Star book. He talks a little bit about why he feels like D&D or the D20 system is perfect for this sort of game, that there is a lot that can be done with modifying the rules and customizing the rules for science fiction that hasn't been done yet. Perhaps the most interesting insight that he's provided is his statements that Phantasy Star Online is a different timeline and a different story from the original Phantasy Star series, that he'd be using some Phantasy Star Online elements for this game, but not directly connecting it to the TTRPG. Depending on if you're a fan of Phantasy Star Online, or the original series, or both of them, that may be good or bad news. Rich sounds very passionate about Phantasy Star and about this particular game that he's making, as he should be. Props to him for being able to get the licenses and make a dream like this come true. And for somebody who's working on a passion project, gives me hope that we're going to get something great out of this. Passion projects, not always, but usually, even if they're not perfect, the effort really comes through. That's all the details I have for now. I'll share the Facebook page for Skydawn Games in the details about this video, and I'll also share a link to the podcast so you can listen to it yourself if you're interested. That's it. That's the show. Until next time.